See, oh, everything's in season in Chicago. You know.
Rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Graham,
Yes.
Pipia, Bikeman,
Present.
Hughes,
Here.
Fry,
Present.
Schroller,
Here.
Behrens,
Here.
Throm.
Here.
7-0, we have a quorum.
Okay, first up we have the minutes. Does anybody have any changes or additions? Terry?
Mayor, one thing I thought was left out and got said because Austin told everybody that it would be the responsibility of the thrower in the disc golf, is what he said. I'd like that.
Say that again. The responsibility of the
thrower is what he's saying. Are we not trying to only adhere to just the motions?
pretty much, yeah, not he said, she said, pretty much it's just anything that
actions.
affected the meeting.
Right.
Nevertheless, that's part of the record about what's going to be in our park, and everybody should know it's part of the minutes, that it was said that.
But just for your info, the only thing that is required in the minutes is a motion and what the outcome is. And nothing about conversation or anything like that. It's just, that's the record. And Cindy writes the record, it's her record. If there's anything wrong with her record, that's when you go in and, like she said, it voted no, but voted yes, sort of thing. But beyond that, it should be Cindy's record.
There's a good paragraph there about disc golf. The only thing is, when we were talking in discussion, that was commented about, and I think it's important that the public knows it. So, if you don't think it should be in the minutes,
I just think, just for your info, it's just, if she writes it down, then that's hers. It's not for anybody else to change her record.
she's the clerk of our city.
Right, and she,
Isn't-
so you,
Was that discussed in the meeting? Yes
right,
or no?
but she can write it down if she wants to.
Fine. I want it written down.
If she wants to. That was my
No,
point.
not if she wants. It was said in the meeting, and I want it in there.
At the class that I went to last year, I know that they told us that most of the time your minutes shouldn't be more than a couple pages.
Less is more.
This is a short paragraph. It could be added to it.
Is that the law? Isn't that what was said, that the responsibility of the thrower is, for damages is the law, just like it is with golf? So that's why I didn't put it in, because it's a law. It
Right.
doesn't affect the minutes. It
Right.
didn't affect the conversation, whether we have disc golf or we didn't.
Right.
I guess was why I didn't put it in,
So-
because you said it was a law. But I,
Move to approve February 10th minutes, meeting as stated.
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
6-1. All right, next up we have public comment. Anybody that wants to can get up there for 5 minutes. Anybody want public comment time? Next up we have Michelle Weitzel. Go, Michelle.
Good evening. You should have had in your packet, I'm kind of addressing both 1 and 2, Mother's Day Market and Big Blue Barbecue requests. There were 2 changes to the Mother's Day Market. Well, really one. Let me back up. There are several things added, like we need more porta potties. The event is growing. We had our largest crowd ever, I think, last year. So we have little items like that. But the biggest, I guess, change that would really be of concern to you all is we are working with the Marshall County Arts Cooperative, and they applied for a grant and received that grant. We are going to have, I think, 5 musical acts that weekend between the 2 days. We're really excited. Several family-friendly events during the day. And then we would like to have bands on Saturday evening down where Simmons Auditorium once sat. We think it would just be a nice addition to the weekend, a way for families in town to see their mom, that they have something to do. To go along with that, if you remember when we had the eclipse here, we had Squirrel Jam, and that was a partnership with MCAC again. You all were kind enough to allow consumption of alcoholic beverages during a set point of time. No selling of alcohol, but just people could bring a cooler of beer and enjoy the bands. We are kindly asking that you would allow us to do that on Saturday evening between the hours of 6 and midnight. The bands will run until 11. But we just think that will, allow everyone to come down and have a good time. I did speak with Chief Ackerman, and he expressed no concerns about that. Again, operating similarly that we did at Squirrel Jam. So if anybody has any questions, I would be happy to answer those.
Anybody have any questions? Anybody would like to make a motion?
Move to approve the request for the Mother Days market.
Second.
All right. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
7-0.
We will, as you know, the barbecue side of that is a partnership, Main Street Tourism and with the city, so we will have a Google Doc prepared in the coming probably month for volunteers for the chicken barbecue. We know it's a busy weekend for everyone, but it's always a good partnership and good to see Kester House and city leadership there serving our patrons. And then the next one is the Big Blue Barbecue. Our only change from last year should be that our cornhole tournament did so well that we would like to expand it to 64 teams, and we would be occupying both sides of the hump downtown. We were just on the side closest to my office last year, but we had quite a waiting list of teams, so we want to expand it. It requires no additional closures or anything like that, but just more to let you know that we'll be having it on both sides, if that's okay.
Question on that one. I see you want the Parks Department to bring in bleachers from behind Boss Motors.
Yeah, they did that last year. Or if that's worded incorrectly, I apologize. Last year, Dale and his crew brought bleachers and stuck them behind Bosses because we can't have them out for cornhole, obviously, with the car show.
Right.
We have several people with implements and construction companies on our committee, and there's a skid loader down there, and they've moved
Okay,
them up
because I just didn't want us to have to
No.
come in and move them
Nope,
after the car
absolutely
show.
not. Nope.
Because we commit quite a bit of
Yeah,
city time.
Jared and Allie Argo have that type of equipment, and
Okay,
they're
that's fine.
skilled at it. So,
Okay.
yeah,
Just making sure.
absolutely.
Move to approve the request from Marysville Main Street, Big Blue Barbecue, and the Auto Fest Car Club.
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
7-0. Passes.
And I didn't realize that I apologize, that the lease was an item on the agenda like this. So I don't have a copy in front of me, but I will tell you that lease is for the billboard at the Riley County corner. If any of you talk to Dave Richardson, he will tell you a couple great stories of people that he has met that have came to town because of that billboard. And he said it kind of burned me to say that because he just didn't know, if it would be worthwhile. So we're really excited to have the opportunity to have that. We took that over from Boss Motors, actually. We kind of had a little in there, and we took that over last year at this time. And it's been very advantageous for us, a good partnership with the trail. It does advertise the trail. I forgot to mention that. But we would just like to continue that lease. It is within our budget for leasing, and there should be no changes to cost or anything for 2020. So.
Move to approve the lease in Riley County with Thomas Outdoor Advertising.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
7-0.
Thank you, Michelle.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
the application consumption alcoholic beverages for Mother's Day market kind of got pushed
Okay.
over.
Yeah,
You want to do that separate? I just
Yes.
assumed you did it from the other.
I'll do
Okay,
it separate.
okay, okay. Yep.
Move to approve the application for consumption for the Mother's Day market from, what was it, 9 to 11,
6 to 12.
6 to 12, whatever it was. I seen it was up there.
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Okay. Next up, they asked, could we move the Kester House Museum up and take care of it next so that they can get it taken care of? Is that fine with everybody? Okay. All right, next up then we've got the Kester House Museum Advisory Board. I guess it's you. It says Sharon, but she's not here, I don't think.
Yeah,
she's right there.
She came in.
Oh, I didn't see her there.
I think any of you guys could actually go this better for you, but I'm willing to have a summary of what we've been discussing as far as approving, trying to increase the circulation into the Kester House Museum. And one item is to increase the money that we receive for tours. And you have the list there. We discussed a list of things that we do to change. And with the idea, and you've seen that, the idea that we can go through all this list and itemize those things and try to understand which ones would work best in raising the money we receive through donations. And that'll take a few meetings. We also mentioned here I can't see anything without my glasses. I forgot to bring them tonight. I'm sorry, I can't think of what I was trying to say. Sharon, do you know what we're talking about as far as the...
Hi, I'm back.
Yeah, she'll help.
So I'm part of the advisory board for the Kester House, and basically we had 2 meetings that we discussed hours and job description for the employee, as well as just ways to increase attendance at the Kester House. You can see in what was provided to you by Karen Hughes, the ideas that we have of things that employee can do to hopefully market the Kester House when they're not, giving tours and things like that. We also talked about how important it will be. The Convention and Tourism, actually, Maureen, Chris, and I meet on Wednesday. We are working on a signage plan that will be presented to the city before your budgetary time. It's a 3-phase plan, and the first phase would include signage for the museums. We talked a lot about how that museum is very nice, and people walk by, but they don't necessarily know if they can go inside. So I think that quite simply, that invitation for them to come inside is very important, and I think that would make a big difference. Pat Breeding suggested placing a donation box in the garden because there are a lot of people that visit the garden and do not go inside, whether they don't have the time or they're not interested, and we think that would provide a source of income as well. Finding additional volunteers to help in improving handicap accessibility to allow those folks to enter the garden side of things. We know that can't necessarily be done for the museum. But overall, I think the 2 boards, the foundation board and the advisory board, I feel like those are the 2 correct names. They really feel strongly about trying to keep the museum open as much as possible. So much work has been done to that museum, and we want more people to experience it. So I think we're all, trying to work with you and work together to really try to get more people into that building.
So your plans are to keep it open the same amount of hours and the same...
I believe so.
The same amount of months as what you did previously?
Yes, and obviously that's been a big discussion between all of us, and
Right.
want to discuss that with you all. And we talked about depending on employee hours of like, I could be on call at certain times if an employee wasn't able to be there, and just trying to, versus trying to say, oh, the museum would be closed every Monday or something like that. We thought our first step, and correct me if I'm wrong, would be to try to have efforts toward getting the museum out there more, mainly social media and website, to try to draw people in, because that's not currently being done outside of, the Visit Marysville sites and things like that, which I don't obviously do just for the Kester House Museums.
And you don't think with the audio tours, now that you can use more volunteers, that you still have to have paid staff all the time?
I don't know if I can answer that question, but it's certainly something to consider.
Well, I know we discussed last year about, shortening the season just a little bit, because when it's cold out, not very many people travel.
Right.
I mean, during the summers when you get to traveling, so, like having it open these first few months here in the year, we're paying someone to sit there really for nothing.
Right. And
And
again.
I mean, that could be a deal, we could put something up, but, you're paying a person, we're $9,000 back on this.
Sure, absolutely.
So, I mean, we gotta come with a way to close this gap somehow.
Absolutely, yeah.
That is not going to increase the tourism, though.
I understand that, but not many people travel though when it's real cold out up here either. You get further north, it doesn't happen either. I mean, everybody runs into this problem in the wintertime with tourism.
Further north.
So,
And I think that I can only speak on behalf of myself, but from what my understanding is the committee's willing to have those sorts of conversations. And again, if the Kester House Museum could have more volunteer hours during those earlier months, or again, maybe some sort of on-call. I just think from a tourism director standpoint, it's very easy isn't the right word, but nice to be able to say our museum's open at this time and they close at this time. I'm meaning like days, like, April 1st to the end of October, it's our museum season. It's very, a great way to advertise because they're all three on that same schedule.
Right.
And now whether that's, on call or staff, we're open to those discussions. But like I said, I think our committee's goals were to work on the marketing of the museum, because that is not happening now outside of some social media posts that maybe that would help close that gap. So I am very keenly aware of that. That money, what is not offset by the market, comes out of the tourism budget. So I am in agreement with needing to shore that up. So.
Well, and I think they were getting ready to print brochures, and before they printed up new brochures, they needed to decide what they were going to do before they...
Right.
So.
Do you have any other questions?
Any other questions? Discussion? Do we have to have any kind of a motion or anything?
If we
for
leave
the
it alone, we
increase?
don't. If they want to change it, we do. Oh, yeah, for the
Well, for
increase
the
of the,
increase
yeah,
of
for
the
the increase of
admissions.
admissions, we should have a motion.
Is that all the information you need for the brochures?
Yeah, because you'd have to have that increase in admissions in the brochure.
what's the other two museums do for hours and times?
They all have the same hours, except the Pony Express Museum is open until 5 instead of 4, I believe.
Same length of time?
Yes.
Year-round
Yeah,
or whatever?
they all technically open April 1st. We tout our museum day as that first Saturday. That's April 4th this year.
Okay.
And then they all technically close October 31st. Sometimes it's that week, just depending on what day of the week it falls, yeah.
So you just need a request to raise the rate for $5 to $5. Move to increase the admission from $4 to $5.
Second.
I hope it'll go if your shortfall, but I don't know if it will or not.
Does there need to be any more discussion in terms of, I'm not sure I think all of the committees aren't exactly sure what their responsibilities are. Many of us are new, so we're kind of working that out in terms of like employees and that kind of hiring, oversight, et cetera. I don't know that we really know who's,
Technically, the city always hired that employee. They have to come through us, they have to fill out the paperwork here because we have to pay them, but how it happens, I
Right.
don't know.
Well, we've been taking the advice of the boards.
Right, I
of
was just
who
saying, how they decide it,
Because
we don't know.
they decide who the expert is and who wants to be the museum, with the
Right.
museum. So it's, that's kind of how it's been
Yeah,
going.
so, I don't know that. It's just been the same, so.
If you guys have somebody else who wants to step in as well, I mean, as another employee, and
I
that,
think
have to have
that's, again, I hesitate to speak for the whole committee, or the two committees, but I think that we thought, in addition to, Pat and John offering hours to that, if there was, someone that maybe had more of the
Technical
skills
side.
for the marketing side of things, that could kind of offset that, they were both willing to, work with that for their hours. So
As long as they fill the hours or have volunteers to fill the
Right.
hours that we're not paying, they just have to come to us so that we can fill out all the paperwork, and you should give us an idea kind of who's working it would kind of help in payroll.
Okay.
Right.
So we
Yeah,
kind I mean, because we have to have that because it's W-2s and all that stuff.
Guys, anybody else have any questions?
Got to vote.
Well, we had a motion and a
Yeah,
second
and
on
motion
both,
and
right?
second, I need
Okay.
to vote.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
7-0.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you for adjusting the order thing.
All right. Next, we've got a request to close 7th Street from Carolina Calhoun, from Tom Leheshka.
And Tom came in today and said, I can't be there tonight, but it is pretty self-explanatory. I'll answer any questions I can. If you have any questions, he just wants barricades up on the 7th Street side because of all the dust for the wedding. And then he also has an alcohol request for the art center because they want to serve alcohol at the art centers.
The request for 7th Street, if, when we do it, we need to block it clear across, not just go in a little bit. It needs to be blocked from
All
all
the way.
Yeah,
the way.
otherwise
not-
they'll go around it.
So somebody's not gonna drive around the end of it
right.
and shoot up through Keller's and that. And I think if they do that, they need to put a barricade at the alley of,
Like we're old Cooksey building?
the old Cooksey, and between that and Bruce's, and then also down the Calhoun side too.
Should charge for all those barricades.
What?
They said we should charge for all those barricades.
I did tell him there would probably be semis parked in there, and he has no problem with that. He just doesn't want them to drive, so when they put the barricades up, it's okay that the
So
trucks
they may move it out if they see the barricade there to get it out of there, but I mean,
Right. I mean, and most of them won't, it'll just be on Saturday, correct? Yeah. Yeah, from,
that should take care of the time, I think. That's much.
right, from
area.
8 in the morning till midnight, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Move to approve the request for the 7th Street corridor.
Second.
Second? Okay. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm gonna jump,
And she abstained.
Huh?
Yes. Yeah.
Cindy, I'm gonna jump down to the consent agenda
Sure.
and approve the alcohol consumption for the Lee Dam
Oh,
Art
that's
Center for
where
the
she
same
put it.
event.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
it's
is.
under
I didn't realize she put it in the consent. Yeah, because usually we put the alcohol in the consent.
So
Yeah.
you're approving the whole consent agenda?
No, just the alcohol, the consumption. You want me to do it all?
Why not
Well,
just
because
do?
we've got to do a roll call on that one.
No,
Or-
no, we don't
or-
consent.
or
No, we
not
don't.
pull it, I guess.
The
Yeah,
only
just go
other
ahead and
thing
do
is
it.
on
Do
the
the whole-
signatures at the bank.
Okay,
Yeah.
move to approve consent agenda, which takes care of the alcohol consumption at the Lee Dam Art
And the
Center.
bank resolution.
Second.
Okay. Have a second?
Second it.
Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
7-0. Now Russell,
Yep.
we're ready for you.
Now the big one.
Now the big one. Yes. Yeah.
Yes, sir. That's all I got, stuff.
Well, thank you for having me tonight, even though we're
presenting drafts tonight, so everybody knows we're presenting draft audit tonight, drafted letters, information like that. So I would say we're pretty much done. We're waiting on a couple numbers from the county, which I think we got on Friday.
Yeah, you did.
But we already have the draft on the agenda to present the draft, and we'll probably finalize, I'm guessing still yet this week, to be finalized with the audit. Start with, kind of go over the couple of letters. I don't know if that's part of the packet, but one of the letters is the required communication with the council, and kind of going through that. We did not have any difficulties encountered during the audit. No disagreements with management. Working with Austin and Cindy and staff is always wonderful. They gave us everything we needed as far as going through activities and going through all the records and the financial data. Same with working with Ruth at the court and Janice at the library. Information from them. Everything was got. The library took a little bit longer to get information, had to work through their accountant to get the books. But once we got everything was great working through stuff. I think she has one open question for me. She called me on today, and I will respond to her tomorrow. I don't feel like it's going to change anything on the financial reports. Just more clarification as far as where that stands. Other than that, as far as kind of other communication, it kind of jumps from that one letter, I don't know if you have the letters or not, into our recommendation letter. As far as, our findings, recommendations, there's different levels. There's material weaknesses, significant deficiencies, and the control deficiencies. Material weaknesses being the most severe, significant deficiencies kind of being the middle level, control deficiencies being more areas of concern and areas of risk that we see that could be identified later as an issue if not corrected and fixed. And as far as looking at things, and especially current situations, we did focus a little bit more on the credit card side of things this year. We always look at certain things, but we looked a little bit heavier and a little more deeper and maybe looked more of a sample and looked at more activities versus a few here and there as far as going through things and looking at processes. So a lot of that, as far as some of our findings, we did note that as far as going through the credit card, that we noticed there was a lack of a visible sign of approval on some of the credit card transactions by both the employee and or supervisor. There was approvals noted on some of the transactions by the employee, sometimes by the supervisor, but sometimes both of them were on there like the city's policy says it needs to be as far as going through that. There's approval and notification by both sides. The other side of that, as far as looking through our transactions, we pick individual transactions through our credit card statements. We only noted one, but still, one's an issue. 1 out of 15 we selected did not have the actual invoice or the receipt that corresponds with the charge on the credit card. I believe it was for a gas charge, and it looked reasonable based off of what was going on with a training event somewhere in the city down south. I can't remember where it was. In Hutchinson. But the gas was from the same time period, so it looked reasonable, but there was no receipt. Comes back, they came back with that charge. That was then attached with the credit card statement. So kind of that whole process, kind of our recommendation would be that every transaction that is purchased or went through the credit card statement has the appropriate receipt, which I think is, again, city policy, that every receipt in our statement, credit card statement, has both the approval of the notification of the employee that, hey, this is my receipt, and also approved by the supervisor that it was a valid transaction that went through. Because, people here at the city, they look at stuff and they tie things up, but they may not know that this gas charge here was for a valid transaction that was purchased through a different department as far as going through things. So when they get it here, they need to see that everything's been reviewed and approved by the supervisors of that department in that area. So that's kind of our recommendation that we focus on this year, going through that. Any questions on the two letters before we jump into the audit side? Audit report, I guess. All right, so as far as the audit report goes, most of you look familiar, but I'll kind of go over it anyway. The city does a gap waiver every year to pass, basically not allow the city to not issue an audit report in accordance with GAAP, but to issue an audit report in accordance with the regulatory basis of accounting, which is a cash basis and budgetary laws allowed for by the state of Kansas. So that's what your audit report is based off of. It's under the Kansas Municipal Audit Accounting Guide, KMAG for short, if you see that through the audit. So that's what your audit report is based off of, and that's how we audit based off of that versus doing the GAAP and the accrual method as far as the transaction goes. So on the first page of the actual audit report, which is page 1 in the audit page, it'll be on letterhead later on. Kind of going briefly through that page is there's two responsibilities. There's the auditor responsibility, which is the 3 pages of the audit opinion. I'm responsible for the audit opinion. Everything else in the financial statement, in the audit report, all the financial statements, all the notes, all the schedules are the responsibility of management. Also includes internal controls, and evaluation and accepting the regulatory basis of accounting. So that's a quick synopsis of page 1. Page 2 on the opinion, we have to discuss based off of, there's a KMAG board, and they kind of outline what we have to have in our audit opinion. So the first few paragraphs there, the first 2 bullet sections, it does say we have an adverse opinion for GAAP. That's a required piece in there, basically saying that if we had a GAAP financials, it would be significantly different than what you're showing here. That third section down, that third section highlighted, it basically says we give an unmodified opinion on the regulatory basis of accounting. Since you are the regulatory basis of accounting, that's the paragraph that means the most as far as what we're looking at. The unmodified opinion is the highest level we can get. Granted, if something changes between now and when we finalize this thing, which I don't expect it to, that should be where what we issue and what it should be the next few days going finalized. So that's the opinion you guys want and what we like to give if everything goes right and is properly supported as far as we're looking at our transactions. The last paragraph there talks about supplementary information, all the schedules 1, 2, 3, and 4 in the back, which talks about the detail of different funds and the different schedules. I'll go over a few in a minute, refers to that. The last page of the audit opinion on page 3 says that we basically have a comparative statement for 2018. We do show 2018 summary detail compared to the 2019 actuals as far as some comparative piece. And then we also issue a report on the government auditing standards, which is more on the compliance side of things as far as looking at internal controls compliance. Any of our findings, any findings that were significant enough to be reported, we have to report them as part of the audit report, included in the audit report versus a separate letter. If anything related to compliance, especially internal controls, that was significant enough. With the finding we had, it's only a very small item not having support in some small areas of not visible evidence of approval. It's still an issue when we're going to report it to you, but they didn't elevate high enough to be in this report. If we come back next year and follow up on this finding and see there's additional things or nothing was completed or done or no changes were made, it might get elevated as far as from a control deficiency to a significant deficiency, which then would be required to be put in an audit report. With that, I'm going to cover a few areas on the report. Page 4 and 5 is your statement, the summary statement. It outlines all your individual funds, the beginning unencumbered cash, your receipts, disbursements, any unencumbered cash, column for any encumbrances and accounts payable, and then the last column is your actual cash balance that's in the bank. Total that agrees to what's in the bank as far as different cash, CDs, that kind of stuff. One thing we always look on here is the ending unencumbered cash and the ending cash. If there's any negative balances in those columns, that would be a cash violation as far as the state of Kansas is concerned. So one thing, a quick synopsis of this, we look at that, say, is there any negative balances? The city does not have any negative cash balances, so well-managed funds, and nothing was spent more than what you guys had cash for, so that's always a good sign. Bottom of page 5 does show the breakdown of what you have in the bank, checking accounts, CDs, petty cash, less your agency fund, which is a Schedule 3 in the back, and compares that to the total cash for the city by the individual funds. So that's your only statement. Everything else is schedules in the back. You can jump to page 13, which is a kind of breakdown of the long-term debt. We changed this a little bit based off of the design and the format from what we had last year based on request by the city last year, where the top section does show the debt of the city of Marysville with the GEO bonds, some of the KDHE loans from the different projects you guys have had in the past, and a lease purchase with basically the city's paying a lease payment to the Public Building Commission for the swimming pool. So that's the city's part, and right below that we have the Public Building Commission's debt, which is a GEO bond that they pay the state of Kansas for the GEO bonds that were issued back in 2013. The lease purchase and the GEO bonds are the exact same amount. So he's basically paying the PBC for the lease, the purchase of the pool, and the PBC turns around and pays the state of Kansas for the bonds that were issued. So kind of mirrors, not double debt, it's different pieces. There are different entities. They are affiliated, and that's why the PBC is included on the city's audit report. But it is separate debt as far as that goes. If that makes sense. Other than that, I'm going to jump back to page 19. This is Schedule 1. It's a summary of expenditures, actual budget.
Hang on.
It shows all your funds that are budgeted. It shows what the budget amount is. If there's any qualifying budget credits, it shows the total expenditures for the year for that fund. And on very far on the right, it shows any variance, whether it's under or over what was budgeted. What I look for specifically on this one as a summary is in the far right-hand column. If there's any positive amounts on there, any amounts that aren't under, it means you spent over the amount that you budgeted. You'd have a budget violation if there's any positive amounts in that far right-hand column. All your amounts are negative on there, which means you spent under what you budgeted in those individual funds. So that's always a good sign as far as there's no budget violations for your funds this year. After that, on page 20 all the way back to 32 are the individual fund detail. Breaks out the actual compared to the budget compared to 2018 amounts as well. Page 53 on the report is your agency fund. Your sole agency fund for the city is the municipal court. It just shows beginning cash, receipts, disbursements, any cash, as far as activity goes there. And then page...
Hold up a second.
Oh, yes.
Last year, was it the police department we had the issue with not keeping everything in comparison, having everything double checked? Court system. Yeah. That's been taken care of, correct?
Yes, they've had several, between what the city's implemented as far as the overcome, yes, what I look at this year and what they provided the city this year as far as going through things, much improved. There's always issues when it comes to having one person and she's still, I talked to her, I talked to the city about, she's still the main person over there. There is a lot more oversight this year with both reports you send to the city, plus treasurer looking at activity, and signing the checks and multiple signatures of signing the checks. So much better controls this year as far as looking through the portal. So yeah, little things make a big difference. So that's the court. On page 54 is the library. And on page 55 is the Public Building Commission as far as the other related municipal entities that are part of the city that are included in the report. And the last two pages is the report on internal control or financial reporting. Again, this is where it will show any significant deficiencies or above as it relates to internal controls or compliance with any grants that the city would get if there were significant enough to be in back here. But like I said, there aren't any this year, so that's always wonderful.
That's great.
Any questions, other questions on the audit report? Anything that's in there, anything I didn't go over? I could talk for another hour on this if you want to. Most people like the 5-minute conversation versus the hour one, so.
Yeah, I've got a question.
Yes.
We got a passing grade.
Yes, you did.
Have you got anything to add to tell us that could make an improvement? Do you think there's anything we're not doing that we should?
Part of it was the credit card transactions as far as having the support and approvals. That's always, that was something in the letter that I passed along as far as that the city needs to do, especially in light of the current situations here. That's something that I'm pretty sure every auditor in the state is doing a little bit of extra work on this year. If that pops up, we look at that specifically. So that was the big one that we reported on. There's always, like I said, there's always areas, small things of improvement. We had some journal entries this year, nothing that was significant. We did report a little bit more accounts payable. Most of our journal entries that we have as far as the audit goes is a lot of reclasses to get in line with maybe how we want to show versus how you guys reported, or to get in line back with your budget as far as recording the transfers and that kind of stuff. You guys record them. We change it a little bit for audit presentation as far as most of what we do. The actual audit adjustment that we had was we recorded about 15,000 more of accounts payable that we found. We come in after year end and we look at activity. You guys can only keep the books open for so long before you have to close your books and say, okay, this is what we're going to call it, and we can look past that because we come in after the fact and say, hey, then there's this invoice here. It really should have been back in 2019. And it's hard for me to say, hey, you need to keep looking, because at some point you have to stop and start your next year. So, other than, find that kind of stuff, just keep that invoice, throw it aside, and, point that out to us when we come, would be something else that could be looked at, so.
Well, any other questions?
Thanks, Russell.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Russell.
So what should we on the finance committee, what should we be looking for should we be looking for on the credit card?
As far as what you should be looking at is if you get the credit card statements as part of when you're signing checks, make sure that every credit card, that's not necessarily you have to go through and make sure every credit card has an invoice, if there's 12 transactions, there should be 12 invoices that support that. Now that's something the finance, they should be doing as part of the put together for you. So maybe you don't be able to check every single one, but you might take the credit card statement, kind of glance through the purchases, say, hey, those look reasonable, and maybe spot check 2 or 3 invoices. Say, hey, yep, this one's there. Hey, let's find this one. Yep, that one's there. And looking for the supervisor approval, the employee approval as far as, hey, this is who it is, and if somebody else has approved it. Just spot check as far as what you guys should be looking at.
Well, I did try to do that, but I didn't know if I was missing something. That's what I wanted to know, so.
I mean, minus going through every single one, looking at every single piece, which again, I'm hoping that's part of the finance piece, and then enforcing the employees to follow the policies is probably the biggest thing on that.
Okay.
If you have a question, anything that, anytime, whether it's a credit card or any other invoice, if you see something that looks questionable, ask questions. Ask for support for whether it's an invoice, whether it's a journal entry, ask for support and make them show it to you. So, and answer questions and get the why figured out. So as far as the council, that's something you guys should be diligent in reviewing and asking questions as part of your fiduciary duty for the city and kind of keeping the city employees in mind. So.
Right?
Anything else?
Anything else? I think we're good. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Russell.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Russell.
Next up, the JAG grant.
Right.
You want to take over that?
Sure, I will. You need to approve the money for the JAG grant, which is buying the radios, which you'll see in here, which is $28,000. But I wanted to say it out loud that is all money that the police chief got. It's a $28,000 invoice, but we get 100% of that on a JAG grant that Todd got. So you had to approve the invoice, but I wanted it to be said out loud that I know we spend a lot of money in the police department, and this is putting those 800 radios in the vehicles, but he did get that totally covered. And I just wanted that to be said.
Yeah, that's good.
He wasn't coming tonight. He said, I already told him I got the JAG grant for the handhelds. I said, I know, but this is $28,000, and I thought the public should be aware.
Yeah, that's awesome.
One
Thank you.
thing, and when you said that, it makes people think that we've got 800 radios, but it
No,
was the
they're called 800.
style.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
there's
it's an
only 5 of
800.
them.
Yeah, there's 5 vehicles
Right,
that are going
okay.
in, but they're 800. I don't know how else to say that. That's a kind of radio.
It's a radio band. is
Yes,
what they are.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's a special band that the state uses now too, or something that's supposed to be
Where
more.
everything
Right.
is going to 800
More.
megahertz.
And they're
They
real
just sound
expensive.
like a lot of radios.
It does. 800 radios would put in a lot of vehicles in town.
Yeah.
They must be pretty cheap if it's 800.
Well, that's true. You're not getting much of a radio, I guess, for that either.
So we already got grant last year for a bunch of radios.
50,000 for their handhelds, the ones that they're on their bodies. These go in the vehicles.
So they need handheld plus ones in the radios?
They've always had-
in the vehicles?
Yes, because they use, when you're sitting in the vehicle, you hear the radio. When you're outside the vehicle, you need that handheld.
In case you are down or.
Okay.
Move to approve the JAG grant with the 5 vehicles, radios.
Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
7-0.
I do have a question that when you're getting ready to do this 3718, aren't we putting out a lot of money that isn't pertaining to that for something else about those same radios though? Or did I read that wrong? Isn't there an expenditure in where we spent extra money besides that?
To KCOM?
No, this, For this specifically, this is all of it, this $28,708.
Yeah, that's not even in here yet. You're approving it before we pay it. I mean, so you knew, because it's so big, I didn't want it
What
to
was
go
that
through.
other KCOM thing that was in the,
Well,
I gotta go look
talking
at it.
AEDs.
Oh, that's to fix a cage in the police chief's vehicle. That's a different thing. Yeah, that's totally different. They had to fix a camera and a cage in a vehicle.
But then are we gonna have to pay now to take it down to Manhattan and have these installed, and that's gonna
No,
cost the city
this
to
is
do
the
that?
whole.
That
right here.
has labor on it, that this does.
Right, installation, setup, that's it.
It's all included.
All included.
Okay, but do we have the time to take them down
Oh,
there
well,
and
Well,
then,
yeah,
That I
it's
know.
the time, yeah, it's about it.
I mean, we spend a lot of money on radios and all of this stuff, it seems like a lot.
Well, this is 100%.
Well, I understand that,
So
but
you're getting top of the line equipment for free, other than time
There
to
was a
take it down there.
KCOM too in there.
Yeah, the KCOM was she just said it was to fix the camera and the cage.
Okay.
That was in a different thing.
Okay, any more discussion? All right, next up, we have the bids for the AED.
This is an item we budgeted for this year, getting automatic defibrillators in each of our buildings. So we can have this emergency. We have one down at the pool. We're just trying to make every other building as equipped as that one. So we got a bid. Let me look at this again. We got some bids for AEDs. The low bid, let me just make sure I read that again.
Cornell Medical.
Yeah, the first one up. Coral Med supplies all the AEDs we need, 12 of them. And then they're exactly the same brand as we have down at the pool. There is one change that I was just told about this tonight. We do want to change one of them to include a hardened case so we can put it on one of our fire trucks. And that's $90 extra. So that would change the quote from Coral Medical.
It's $90, you said?
It's about, $90. Yeah. Yeah, so they can have one on the fire truck to take out when the fire truck goes out.
They're a lifesaver.
And they will, we will get, once they're installed, or once we get them all ordered and stuff like that, we will get training on them. So that will be included in this.
What's the difference in the bid you suggested and the ones with, how much difference are we saving compared to quality?
No, they're all bidding the same Zoll AED, yes. They're all bidding the same product, exactly the same.
Best one on the market.
Yeah. I think this one might be the state contract.
Yep.
To have them at all of them.
Which ones did you say we have already?
What?
Which ones did you say we had already?
Just at the pool.
The Zoll for the, we had Zoll for the pool.
They said this is the same one they use in the ambulances and at the hospital, so all the pads will interchange.
Right.
That's why they wanted that brand.
Yep.
Move to approve purchase of 12 AEDs to the low bid of Coral Medical in Franklin, Tennessee for,
It'd be $13,949 with the $90.
there you go, $13,949 with the $90 for the hard case fire department.
All right, have a second?
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
So,
Next, we've got the plat for the Rocky subdivision. that also?
Ba-
It's been brought up, I mean, the last few weeks in the,
The plat's already been approved previously. They had, but Joanne Walcott noticed that mistakenly put the wrong owner's certification signature block on the replat. The block has been corrected and approved again, once again by the Planning Commission. Just need your guys' approval to have Jason sign, or the mayor sign.
Move to approve the revised zoning for the Brocky Heights subdivision.
second. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, well, that's everything on there. We didn't have anything on notices and hearings, did we? And we already took care of consent agendas, so we have the appropriation ordinance number 3718.
Move to approve appropriation ordinance 3718, the amount of $249,690.01.
Have a second?
Second.
Any more discussion? This is roll call.
Graham,
Yes.
Bikeman,
Yes.
Hughes,
Yes.
Fry,
Yes.
Schroller,
Yes.
Behrens,
Yes.
Thrum.
Abstain. I'm getting paid in this one.
Oh, I forgot you were part of that company.
Yes.
6-0. And one, yes. Okay.
Okay, you're up, Austin.
First thing on my list is our, this year's water meter purchase. Included is the quote from Municipal Supply for our Neptune meters. We budgeted $80,000 this year for replacement water meters. We are still putting in meters from last year, but it took about 6 months to get them in. So we wanted to get this order going. This is year 2 of 5 of our water meter replacements. So just recommending you approve these 339 meters for $79,887 to come out of the water revenue fund.
Have a motion? Kevin?
Moved. Purchase of 339 meters for $79,877 to come out of the water revenue fund.
Have a second? Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Austin, I have a question. I mean, we can go ahead and discuss this after we vote. These meters, I know the meters that Washington County's put in, if you go 24 hours and there's a major leak, it will flag it. Do these meters do that?
We would have
The
to,
antenna, they were.
if we were to go with an antenna and put a couple of them around town, yes. These would transition to that. Right now, they're set up for just the drive-by. We haven't invested in getting in the antenna yet. And those antennas cost about $10,000 is what we, a
For the whole
piece.
town?
A piece. So maybe two or three antennas would do it, depending on what the engineer
No,
says.
I'm just curious. If
Yeah, they are capable of doing just that, yes.
They are?
Yes.
It'd be very.
Well, I know, because especially in the winter times, you get a broken water line, you see that red flags the first thing in the morning that, hey, someone's got a major leak.
Right.
And then somebody don't have a $800 bill they're coming in here and seeing us about on the water committee going, hey.
Even if we just would add $1 to every bill for a year.
But, yeah, I think we should definitely plan for something like that in the future to put those antennas in, because it would save the time of going out. It would also have the ability to show when something happened. And when somebody calls up and goes, hey, I have a high water bill, the clerk can go in and go, okay, do you get up at 2 in the morning and take a shower or something like that? On this day?
Like I said, I didn't know
Yeah.
if these new meters were capable of sending this type of
They are capable, but we
Okay.
are not set up for that.
Okay.
So after this purchase, how many more meters do we need?
This is 2 out of 5?
Yeah, we got 3 more years after this. How much do we have 1,600 meters, above 1,600 meters.
Yeah, we have.
So we kind of planned it, we spent $150,000 or $140,000 last year on meters. So $80,000 a year will get us done. And we kind of set a price. Hopefully we keep that same price each year going forward. Yeah. There's no other questions. The next one, we had Agland come through with their normal maintenance, and they found some issues with some of our pumps. So they included you read their letter, prices for new volutes and impellers for pump 3, and just some information on replacement pumps. Pump number 1 also may need some attention, but they gotta get it out before they can make that determination. So right now, they're asking that we get, which one is that? Pump number 3, a new volute, and a new impeller, which is $33,633.55. And then, let me go back to, and then I think repairs to pump number 4 are also included for $4,596.44.
Austin,
Yes.
did we have a pump, an extra pump?
These include some of our extra pumps. We've been trying to get extra pumps for each. We don't have them on hand right now. I mean,
I thought we had one.
we have one, but they're not all the same pump.
The what?
They're not all the same type of pump. So pump 3 and pump 4 are probably different sizes.
Yeah, I stopped and talked to Ken on this today. He says the length of the pump and the difference of the head pressure it takes to pump the pump, he says, because I asked him that, he says the only 3 pumps we have that are the same are the 3 in the lift station.
Right.
He said, other than that, he says, none of the rest of them are the same.
Right.
He says, because the amount of pressure it takes to push them, like whatever one it is out at Hometown has got the biggest head pressure on it, because he said it's the longest push to get it up over the hill there, so it goes to gravity.
Right. And I think we budgeted in the future for buying replacement pumps, or sub pumps, I guess
Right.
you can call them, to have as backups. But right now we don't. So I'm looking for you guys to approve the repair of these items to come out of the sewage replacement fund.
Move to repair pumps at lift station 3 and 4 from Agland Repair, for the amount of $38,229.99.
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
7-0.
Next thing up, I included a bid request for replacement of 14th Street from Center to Broadway, Broadway from 14th to 15th, and 15th from Broadway to Center. We had this project scheduled / budgeted for this year, with one difference being that we didn't plan for 14th Street. We believe that while we would be replacing Broadway and 15th, it would be prudent and necessary to replace that portion of 14th as well. I think it would be the last piece of brick, and it'd just be an odd street out if we left it, and it only makes sense to do it now while we're there.
Going up and driving that Saturday when I was around, can we not include the rest of 15th Street up to the highway in that? That is pretty broken up.
That is on.
That's on there.
Yeah.
That's on
It's
there.
in there.
Yeah.
All the way to the highway?
From
Where your line goes across there, that's why I was curious there. It says old concrete. I want to take that clear to the highway.
Right, so, yeah, no, that's all included.
156 streets.
Yes, yeah, from that southern line to the highway is all included.
Okay. Well, see there where you got kind of that broken line across there where it says old concrete?
Yeah.
I thought that was where it stopped at. I'm sorry.
No, he just denoted the
Old concrete.
radiuses.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, yeah, it's all of that,
Okay.
Gary's drawing, so
It
it's,
just distorted me then.
yes, yeah, that, all the way to the highway.
Okay.
Where the cutoff is.
Okay.
Which is what you want to do on 14th as well.
Yes,
Take all that brick
Take
up
all
there.
the way up to.
all the way up to the highway.
Okay. Thank you.
And then,
So then where would that put 12th Street then? Would we do that next year then, or where?
12, yes, I want to get, for 12th Street, I want to get the school on board, because they need to replace their parking as well. That would not be a part of our project, that'd be on them. It's, because it's off-street parking, and they weren't exactly prepared to do it this year, so it makes sense to hold off on it. Especially, it's in bad shape, but it's not in terrible shape, not compared to this.
Not compared to this street, yeah.
Yeah, that's true, but, there's a lot more people walk on it
Yeah,
down there,
that's-
that's where my fear is at the school, is that somebody's gonna turn an ankle and go down.
Right.
Because when people go to football games and stuff like that.
And all St. Gregory's uses that.
What?
14th.
14.
They're walking in the street?
Well, there's no sidewalk there, is it? I didn't think there
One
was.
side.
Is there,
On
is there,
one side,
by that
yeah.
bar, is there a sidewalk?
Yes, there's a
Yeah.
sidewalk
Oh,
there.
I didn't realize there was a
It's
sidewalk.
pretty decent,
Is it?
actually.
But the people going to football games and stuff come out of the alley there between.
I think we did fill in those holes and we
It's
can
better than
continue,
it was.
yeah.
It is.
Yeah, it looks a lot better. I drove up there but a lot of people going to football games and stuff, do go across the street there. There's a lot of traffic, so we do need to get it done before
Right.
too long, so.
Right.
Yeah, it is filled in and it does look a lot better, yes.
Before football season.
Well.
Next year.
If not this year, we can't let it go. We do need to get it done. I don't want to put it clear down the list, so.
Right, no, it would be a next year project.
Okay,
Yes, I would just push it off as the next project in line.
yeah, okay.
Austin?
Yes.
This deal of 14th, that street there, is there a chance when it goes out for bid, that's gonna be a little bit better map than this to show the people what you wanna do? It's gonna be there.
I don't know what you mean by better.
Well, could be a lot more definition on it.
I guess if we can go out and buy some new software, because right now we don't have anything, the only thing we can do to make maps is kind of edit some PDFs, and we don't have all that much, and that if we do, we don't have the expertise to do it.
Or do you want to go out and have an engineer it? Is that what
No,
you're
I
asking?
don't really want it, but I thought maybe the city would be able to make something a little bit more definitive than what this is. For somebody to make a bid on, it's kind of a hairy map.
Well, it's a complete replacement, so they're not and it's an as it is right now. We're not changing any of the street, and normally with this, they come out and look. The people that we're asking to bid come out and look at the street.
Because the bid was for curb and gutter, both sides, everything.
Complete
Yeah.
replacement, yes. And I've
The
put
only
out,
question I had on it.
yes,
I see we had the ADA sidewalks at the corners put in. Are we going back to property line on those?
we would probably go to the
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because it's just showing, ADA, it's not showing it coming back to the,
Right. Yeah,
you know what I'm talking about.
Yes, I
So-
know what you're talking about.
So we complete the corner out to property to property.
Yep, and I can actually define that in here. That'd probably be important to put in there.
Because like I said, I don't want them to think, oh, we're just gonna put the ADA right here in the curb line, that's where we're gonna stop. I know
Right.
we need it to go back the 15 foot or whatever it is to the property.
To where it meets.
Yes.
Yep.
You copy it?
If there are no other questions, I request
They need to approve. Yeah,
approve
make a
the
motion.
bid request, yes.
So I'd like to make a motion to approve those going out for bid.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Move to go out for bids on the 14th Street replacement project.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 7-0.
Thanks.
7-0.
Attached for the next one is the quote for the pond aerator. We were awarded a grant for this. It's an 80-20, so we get 80% of the whole project, which basically covers almost this whole aerator. The rest of it is, I don't know if we'll have to pay for an electric line or electric service to be put in down there, but the rest of it is our guys putting it into the pond. So we'd count our hours towards this grant, and then they give us a little over $7,000 to complete this. This will increase the oxygen and is supposed to help reduce the chances of fish kills. This was the grant as approved last year. Let me think. This is the exact same system. In fact, this is the exact same quote. They said it was good for a year. I double checked on that. So I would like to get this ordered. So
Installed this spring,
installed this spring.
before it gets hot and we kill a bunch of fish
Before it
again.
gets hot, yes. Yes.
Is this the only bid we could get on this?
Yeah, they were the expert. This was the only system I could find that would help this pond. Yes, after all the research, yes.
I stopped in the office today, Austin, and I was talking to Jason and Cindy. That's not all our pond, but it'd be kind of nice if we asked both Walcott and the Country Club, maybe if they'd like to pitch in.
I don't think they want to
You don't
contribute.
think? Did we ask them?
I've had conversations with the Country Club, and they haven't wanted to contribute to anything.
They don't think it's necessary.
They don't, they say they don't have the money.
But we do, because we got a lot of people we can get the money from. Okay. We don't want to ask them? Fine. Thank you.
No, I have asked them, just to clarify, I have asked them, and they shy away from it.
Did you ask Walcott too?
I didn't ask Walcott, no.
Okay.
Have we talked to anybody that has a system like this that have put them in?
No, I haven't found anybody near us that's put this system in. I did go through our biologist that had to approve this system through the state of Kansas, and they asked me about it and had to certify that this would be okay. So this had to go through the biologist out of Tuttle Creek to okay it.
I think Pot County has something down there, don't they? Down by Westmoreland, do they have some, don't they have
That one
something
does, yeah.
similar in their lake down
They
there?
have bottom ones, or they have,
I don't know.
or a
I thought,
fountain.
There's just one. I think it's kind of a fountain.
Yeah, these
That's what I'm thinking of.
sit down on the bottom.
yeah, I don't know what they have, but I think they have something down there.
Right.
They
so.
do.
Yeah, these are kind of different, and that's one of the comments that the biologist said. I mean, it's kind of a different system for around here. He's really only seen the fountains, but after he did his own little research, he went ahead and approved our application, so.
He thought this would be better for what we have?
He said this would work. I don't know if he thought it was better, or anything like that. He questioned me, and then he came back, and said he would go ahead and approve this.
And so what was the reason we didn't do an aerial fountain one? I remember there being a reason.
The-
As much oxygen in the water or something?
For the size of the pond that we have, it wouldn't cover, we'd have to have multiple to cover
Okay.
the aeration portion of it. Yeah. And so
For some
this,
I just
reason,
remember there
for some
was a
reason,
reason.
5 stuck in my mind
right,
of the the fountain ones.
yeah. So, and this was a recommendation on these pond guys that say, and after going through all their equipment, they said this covered the most area, and would help the system. Help get oxygen within our pond.
And they stand behind their product. Did I see something about a
Yeah, there's like a 3-year.
time frame or something?
Complete care program, 3 years.
3 years, yeah.
And what does that, like if it breaks or?
Yeah, it more than likely is it's a warranty, and as long as it's functioning properly.
Austin, is it 110 or 220, or how much electricity are we gonna put into this?
I'd have to go back into the specs. It's been a little bit since I looked at them. Oh, it's a 115 volt.
115, well, then it shouldn't be too expensive.
Is this
As far
gonna
as
run year
electricity.
round? Oh, excuse me.
It's gonna run April to October. That's what the biologist recommended, was running it from April to October.
Does it stay in the pond then over the winter?
Stays in the pond, yes.
Freezing it won't hurt it or anything?
No, it's
Underneath, I
It's
know,
on
but
the
there's
bottom.
something.
yeah, because you gotta dig the lines in when it's the lines that are outside the pond are underground. So you put those underground and then get it out to the lake. Yeah,
I remember talking about dredging this lake at some point.
right. And that's in the plans in the future. Yes, it's a lot of money.
I just know we had talked about it because then would this be interchangeable or at that point
We
would
could
this
take
be
We would take it.
obsolete and then get in something
We would
different
take it
that
out,
might-
dredge it, and then we could put it back in.
But wasn't it something that the lines, after you dredge it, they would maybe need to be extended
Maybe.
down
Yeah.
or something?
Yep.
They take more
Because
time,
it'll get
probably.
deeper.
Yep. And you just buy more line and
Okay.
the
I just
thing.
remember having
Yeah.
those conversations.
Yep.
And what's the time frame of getting the reimbursement from the grant?
It's not, once we complete the project and turn all our receipts in, I don't know how long from then, because usually it's not very long with the state. But they just said, turn all your receipts in and then they'll process it. Right.
So the grant's 80%, right?
Yes.
And our cost would be like $1,712 out of that bid? Is that,
Right.
Plus the cost of
Plus the
putting the electricity.
The cost of electricity and our labor.
Which goes against it, so.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
The labor goes against it.
Okay. Somebody like to make a motion to approve that?
Move to approve the aeration system for the lake and the pond guys in the amount of $8,564.46.
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed?
7-0.
you know how much installation would be cost-wise? I mean, rough, any idea?
As far as our labor,
Yeah.
I don't, well, I estimated, so you add 20, I'd have to look back at the sheet when I installed it, but he said probably a couple days to get it in there. So 2 guys, a couple days, and a boat to get it done. So. But I think that's everything I had. Yeah, everything on my list.
Okay, standing committee reports. Street.
Overhanging branches, how low do we need to cut them off? I mean,
Oh, we changed that last
14
year, yeah.
14 feet.
14 feet?
Yep.
Okay.
See, the street sweeper's still out just about every other day picking up leaves and stuff yet throughout the city, so. Almost got everything cleaned up again.
Anything else on the street? Water and wastewater?
Yeah, with the break that we had 2 weeks ago west of town out there, I know visiting with Kent and stuff, that's been like 9 breaks in those 2 sections coming off the bridge. Probably need to get that stuck in a plan to
Yes.
replace that pipe from the bridge up to the second air
Yep.
lift.
Yep, that was the next section. I forget if we put that in the next year thing, because,
I don't know if we did or not, but it's something we need to
yeah.
get stuck in there. And I brought up last week about or 2 weeks ago about the 9th Street and
The manholes.
the manholes up on the
Yep.
highway, so.
Speaking of manholes, that one there on 5th Street in Carolina, probably needs to have something put back over it again.
Oh, someone
When I
got the
drove
barricade?
over it today, somebody removed the barricade, I don't know who, but I did notice when I came across today, somebody had driven over it and it was kind of sticking up on one side. So it probably needs to have a barricade back over it again.
Didn't it just have a cone or something on it?
Yeah, it did.
Had a cone and then it had a barricade.
Yeah.
And then it had both and.
Yeah, it's had some different
I've
stuff.
gone around it so long.
I know. I'm not saying I miss it, but it didn't look good when I drove by there today, so.
Okay.
Anything else on water, wastewater?
Well, one thing, I know we've replaced some of the storm sewer entrances around town, but there are a lot of them that are just in rough shape. I don't know if we need to, for lack of, or catch basins. I don't know if we need to have some sort of program or what, rather than onesie twosie, but a lot of them have been hit or they just decayed over time, and some of them are open enough a kid could climb in them, or because a ball or whatever could bounce into them. So I know we've kind of replaced them as we found them, but it really just seems like this winter I've noticed more of them. So I don't know if maybe we can kind of make a list, or if you want us to notify and we can kind of work through them over time, or what the best way to do that
The
is.
GIS that we just did kind of graded our inlets, so we should be able to tell from that.
That's a pretty good way to.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So,
Good.
yeah, and I think like needs replacement and on up, sort of thing.
Yeah, I think some of them can just be the cap, or some of them just the front with a new bar, and that's, yeah.
Yep.
All right, great.
Anything else? Parks and Rec.
Yeah, I do. Actually, Diane gave it to me. There's some people that seen that we're planning on doing some work up at Lakeview. The current retaining walls we have up there on the black diamond down below, with the space on them, don't we need some railing or something on them? They're pretty open down there. Never thought about that when we were building the walls.
Yeah, that might not be a bad idea with little kids running around.
Just something to throw at the engineer.
But one of my constituents emailed me about it, so I just thought I'd give it to you guys, so.
Bring it up, get it stuck on it. Go.
Okay. Anything else, Parks and Rec? Cemetery and Airport? Police and Fire? Admin and Finance?
Oh, please, where are we at on the grant? Nothing was brought up about the CBD grant. Where are we at with our firehouse? Are we gonna do anything, or are we just gonna?
We will probably have a meeting, we need to have probably a special meeting about that is what we need to do.
We're waiting on some more information. And hopefully that comes soon, and then we'll schedule a meeting specifically to talk about it.
Well, had you talked to other builders about?
Yes, that's the information we're waiting on. We're waiting on another builder.
Okay, was AHRS included in one of the builders?
Yes.
Right.
So we put out some bids then, or
We
we've asked for
haven't put
bids?
out bids, we've asked for estimates.
We've asked for, okay,
Yes.
okay. Admit and finance?
Yeah.
Okay. The other night at the workshop, something was brought up about that the mayor or the council people shouldn't be able to go in the vault and look at records or anything like
Yeah.
that. So, I mean, to me, I think if we should want to go in and look at something, I don't really see why we shouldn't be able to as long as we ask permission.
That's a Coma-Cora thing, and technically, I'm the only one that, or our staff, we'll bring it to you, and we should observe, from what they've told me now, we should observe you so we know those records are not removed and where they are, and that they're not moved around. So that's why we get them, you can look at them, and we put them back.
Right.
And technically, they want us to have you sit in front of us, so we know where they are, that they're not being copied, that they've not, unless we copy them, and that they've not been removed.
It's a
And we
record
know that.
stewardship
It
thing.
is,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yes.
So where does it say that?
In the Cora handbook, when I went to that training, that was a big deal. You should not remove anything, and if they want a copy, they can, but they should be where you observe them. That's how they tell us at the city clerk's meetings. They should be where we can observe you.
Well, nobody's saying anything about removing them. I mean,
But
they're not-
when you're in the safe and we're not in there, we can't see, did you stick it in your pocket? Did you move it to a different place in the safe? That's their thing about, because you're the record keeper, you're the only one. Some of those records are from 1900. There are no others. They are what they are.
And-
So that's what the whole point
And
is.
a lot of that is not open record, meaning.
Not
you
everything
can't
in the
ju-
safe is open
You
record.
can't just go,
Absolutely.
you can't just have that. That's
I mean, there's
confidential
employee stuff and
So you've had a problem with this before then?
Yes.
so, I mean, anything you want, if you ask me for it, I will get it for you. I mean, that's not the issue.
Okay.
This is the
They
best, this is, and I'm weighing in and I haven't been a part of this. This is the best practices to comply with the Open Records Act, which is a state law. It's in the city's best interest to do that.
Okay,
It's
well,
not
I
a
mean,
suggestion that
nobody'd ever
anybody's
said
going to
anything
abuse it.
before.
But if somebody did, it could be a real problem for the city and potentially the individual that purposely or otherwise took a record out that they should not.
Okay.
And the chain of custody got broken or something along those lines. But that's how I understand it. So I think everybody would want to comply that way. Might be inconvenient, but it's necessary.
Have records disappeared in our city hall?
Not that I know of,
Yeah.
but I might not know unless somebody else came to ask for something, if it's something that's old or whatever. That way you'd never know. There's never question. You don't question anybody. So that's the whole thing. That's why they tell you that, this was what was requested, it was handed it to them, they handed it back. Karen's very careful. You're Karen. I mean, if she wants something, she asks for it, she gets it,
She's never been in there.
No, I know. She asked for a record and we give it to her. She's
I
like the
don't
way
know.
we like it. She's really good at what she does.
Disappeared? Who took what?
We don't know if anything disappeared, but we have had governing body members just walk into the safe and look at records.
Okay.
Karen does a very good job.
I just wondered,
She does it exactly right.
Anything else on admin and finance? Okay, appointments. I nominated John McNish for the city attorney position, and he wouldn't take over until next month sometime.
Right.
I think we were gonna do the first of the month, but he's got a contract that he didn't get to us until, well, we just got it today, I think.
Oh, okay.
So
I've not seen
I
it.
think Austin has it,
Yeah,
so.
this evening he got it, yes.
Mhm.
And we'll have that in the packet next
To be
meeting.
approved.
Next bracket.
Yep.
Move to approve the mayor's appointments.
You gonna what? Didn't hear you.
Move to approve the mayor's appointments.
Which one are you referring to?
City attorney.
Second.
How can we approve this until we know what we're gonna do with him? You said, why can't we wait and approve it when we agree what we're gonna pay him and what the deal's gonna be?
Austin.
You can approve him as an appointment and then approve the agreement later. He's asking for $147 is what he's asking for an hour. And I wasn't gonna hand this out. I wanted you guys to actually read it and be able to read it before the meeting, before you approve the agreement.
Well, that's why maybe that's when we should do it, is at the next meeting. It don't make sense to do it first. We ought to be able to get to read that's what he's gonna agree to do and everything first before we hire him.
It's up to council.
Second, so
Yeah.
you can vote or.
You can vote, or you can hold it off till next meeting, whichever way you want to do it.
I think we need to table it. I don't think we approve a contract before we see it.
Oh, you're not approving the contract?
Well, then we don't approve an appointment until we see it. I don't
We have to
think.
agree to the appointment before we approve
Contract.
what he wants, before we say we're gonna approve it. It don't even make sense to approve it first.
Whatever.
Kevin had a motion. Do you want to withdraw that, or do you want to keep it on there?
It doesn't matter.
Okay. All right, so we'll hold off till next meeting when we have the contract for everybody to review. Okay. All right,
Didn't I give that? I get it.
yeah, you did. I need to call an executive session. Or actually, somebody else does.
You want to read it, Kevin? Or you want to read it? I don't
Diane
care.
did.
Oh,
She
Diane
said
wants
yes.
to read
I
it?
saw her raise her hand.
Okay.
It's really small.
She has a small hand.
For everybody, I move the city council recess into executive session to discuss possible acquisition of real estate pursuant to the acquisition of real estate exception KSA 754319B6. This session will include the mayor, city council, and the city administrator. The open meeting will resume in the city council at
Include him too.
You want to include
Include the city attorney
Okay,
while
and the
he's
city
here.
city attorney at what time?
What do you think, 20 minutes?
20 minutes to do.
8:50?
8:50.
Second.
Have a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No, that's all right. Karen's recording. It's all right. Yeah, Karen's recording.
Smash my hand in there.
Here.
Here, right there.
Okay, call meeting back to order. No binding decisions were made. Roundtable discussion.
Thank you.
I guess I'll start off. A great job on the part of our water department. A couple weeks ago, we had that break on that main line. They were out there pretty late. They were getting good use out of all the lights we put on all the vehicles out there, so that was good. Just wanted to kind of thank them for getting that taken care of for us. Gina, anything? Oh, Keith?
No.
Terry?
No.
Todd?
No.
Diane?
No?
Thought
Colleen?
it was nice that you guys took them pizza and stuff out there that
Yeah, it
night.
was cold that night.
Yeah.
They probably liked the coffee more than the pizza.
That's all I got.
I have nothing, sir.
We want to make a motion to
Motion to
adjourn?
adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Cindy, you have that
Thank you.
correspondence.
All right.
So